Hello planty people, welcome back to my channel. I am Empress and today I am here to do a little product review for you all. Now this is one I've decided to do off my own back. I have not been given the products or paid to do this in any way, and I'm gonna give some good and bad pointers to this product as I talk. But I have gone through a few humidifiers in my plant journey, and so I'm here today to do a little review of my new humidifier. So this is the TBI Pro Humidimaster. It is the 6-liter model, and I'm going to be talking a little bit today about some pros and a few cons that I've come across with this particular model and why I chose this particular model and what my decision kind of process was in picking this humidifier and what I've had experience-wise with my other humidifiers as to why I ended up picking this one. So I'm going to move the camera in at a different angle so that you can kind of see more about the machine and less about me, and we're going to talk a bit about this beautiful, lovely humidifier that I have here. Alright, let's get into it. So the first thing I want to say about it is that it runs super duper quiet, which I really like about this humidifier. If I get my head like right up close to it, you probably can't even hear it on the video. I can just hear it running, but usually ambient noise in the street, in the house, kind of overrides it, so I don't even notice it at all, which I really appreciate. I've had a few humidifiers that have been quite noisy, and you hear them coming on and off, and they make quite a like grindy noise when they're working, and it's a little bit disturbing. So I really like that this one is actually quite quiet. It also has a night mode, which makes it run quieter, which I haven't tested out yet because I never run it at night, to be honest. And so some problems I've had with some past humidifiers, mainly for me, is I have arthritis in my wrists and I get quite sore. And so for me, lifting up a large tank, which is what I had with my last one, and having to fill it from the bottom, which is common with most humidifiers, it was really painful on my wrists having to carry a large tank back and plop it back onto the machine. Whereas the great thing I love about this humidifier is the tank does detach, so I'm just going to turn it off and show you. So I can, if I want to, it's very heavy at the moment because it's full. I can lift the tank up if I want to, but the feature that I really love about this humidifier is, can I get it in there? You can fill it from the top. So there's access to the tank there from the top of the machine. So you just lift this little lid up, which then clicks back into place, and there is a way to fill the tank up from the top. So I just have like an old broken kettle, and it takes me 2.5, 3 of those kettles to fill this up, which for me is so much more practical for my sore wrists than it is taking a whole big 6.5-liter tank, which is, you know, really heavy for someone with bad wrists. And when it's wet and slippery, and it's just, I don't like it. I don't like it. The amount of leaves that I've also crushed of my plants, putting big heavy tanks back on, and the leaf has gotten stuck between the tank and the humidifier and crushed. I have crushed a lot of plant leaves doing that. So I really appreciate that with this one I won't be doing that anymore. Can I kneel down and... That was a plant that just fell on me. That was a baby plant. That was 2 plants! Oh, give me a minute. I knocked over my baby satin and my baby micans off the shelf behind me because I just moved them there last night, and apparently they weren't very well balanced. So I guess I'm repotting those later. Go me. Anyway, let's get back to the review. So guess who's vacuuming later? Anyway, let's hope I don't knock any more plants over in the process of doing this, shall we? Anyway, so I really love that this is a top fill humidifier. So the tank fills from the top, like I was saying, and this one actually only needs to be dismantled every 2 to 3 weeks to be cleaned. So for that, I wait for the tank to empty, and then I take the base off and wash it out and just clean it out. I use watered down vinegar when I clean it, just because it's not harsh, but it also helps break down any chemical buildup. Because I do use tap water. You're supposed to use filtered water, but when it's 6.5 liters, there's too much filtered water. I'm just not doing that. Alright, so another positive thing that this humidifier has is this is the water level meter here. So the water level's here at the moment. So I can always kind of tell how full that is. So that's really great. It also beeps quite aggressively when it runs out of water, so it gives quite a loud beep, beep, beep when it's out of water. So I do appreciate that, because otherwise I will not notice for a good day sometimes when it runs out of water. So if I hear the beeping, then that's really good. It comes with a little remote, which honestly I don't know if it needs, but it's cute. I do like a cute little remote, like... But I'm scared to move it away from the humidifier, because once it moves away from the humidifier, the remote is lost forever and I will never see it again. So the remote just basically lives next to the humidifier to turn the humidifier on. So it works really well. It has a humidistat and a timer. So I'll usually get up in the morning and I'll set it for 65 or 70, depending how dry it's been that week. And so it will auto adjust the humidity to whatever level I want. And if I need to, I can twist this and it focuses the humidity in different directions. So if I need my calatheas to get extra humidity that day, I will twist it that way. Or if I need to pump some humidity into that side of the room, I'll twist it that way. And it kind of jets it in different directions. It's only got one direction on the jet, but that's fine. It doesn't really bother me. With this one, so it's got the timer on it, and I will usually just set it for however many hours. Usually I get up in the morning and I set it for 12 hours from when I wake up. So it'll go from 7 till 7 and run at 60 to 70% humidity. The one thing that does... Okay, there's a couple of things that honestly bug me about this humidifier. So first, I'm just going to double go through all of the positives. So let's list the positives on the screen, shall we? So the most positive for the TBI Pro humidifier for me, the number one thing is that it's a top fill humidifier and it's a large capacity. So it doesn't run out very quickly. I fill this up every 3 days at the moment. Oh, I just accidentally turned it off. It's quite sensitive. So, you know, I fill this up every 3 days or so. Sometimes less if it's a really dry week. Sometimes, if it's a really wet week, sometimes more if it's a really dry week. You know, it depends. And it depends how hard you like to run your humidifier as well. I like to run my humidifier quite hard. So if you're not somebody who likes to run it that hard, it'll probably last you about a week per tank. So she's quite a good capacity and top fill. So large capacity, top fill, both two things that are really great about this humidifier. The remote, be it does nothing different than the little controllers on the front. Like literally there are no different controls on here than there are on here. But it does have a little remote. It has mist levels, so if you want to only churn it out at 1, you can. So there's 1, 2, 3 levels of mist. I just keep it on 3 most of the time because honestly I forget. But if I'm trying to conserve water, I'll run it at a 1 or a 2. So it has the different mist levels, which is really cool. It does have a humidistat and a timer. So, you know, you can set your percentage and it'll just maintain that percentage. And then you can set a time frame and it'll just maintain that time frame. So those are both great bonuses as far as I'm concerned. So there's some pluses for this one. Now, there are a few things that I have to complain about this humidifier. The first is that it only comes in Fahrenheit. So that I find a little bit irritating as somebody who lives in Australia and, you know, Fahrenheit isn't... Oh, we've got a cat invading the camera. Hi, honey. You doing all right? Hey, Vala. This is Vala. Hi, Vala. So one of the negatives about this humidifier is that it only has a temperature gauge in Fahrenheit. Now, I have multiple humidifier and thermometers around my lounge room plant area here, so I don't actually care about that. However, I do find it a bit irritating that I can't change it. And I did contact the company and ask them particularly if there is a way of turning the Fahrenheit to centigrade, and they were like, no, there's not. And I'm like, well, that's pretty inconvenient considering quite a large percentage of the world uses Celsius, but sure, guys. So that's one thing that bugs me a little bit. Another thing is that you can't choose the temperature of the mist. So the mist only comes out cold. My old Kmart humidifier, it ran at warm mist and cool mist, and I did really like that because in winter it would just add extra warmth into my collection because it does get quite cold where I live. So having the extra warmth pump from the humidifier really did help my plants over winter, but it's a small complaint. I'm not too worried about it. Another thing is this top of the tank is not very secure. So if you do choose to fill it up externally and carry it back, be really careful because I have accidentally spilt probably a good few liters of water on the floor with this one because the top of the tank is not secure, and I kind of thought it was. So if you are removing the tank to rinse it, clean it, fill it up, whatever, like I showed before where you can lift the tank up, if you're going to do that, make sure you're like being careful with how much water you have in this tank because I did spill water all over myself. But yeah, so I think that's everything I wanted to talk about with this humidifier. I think I covered all of the things. Cost-wise, in Australia, this one is not a readily available humidifier. I did a lot of research before I decided on this one. And so it is one that's not necessarily easy to get in Australia. And unfortunately, I did have to go through Amazon. I don't really like to go through Amazon if I can help it, but unfortunately it was the only place that I could find this humidifier that seemed legitimate. There was one site that I found that was Australian, but it was also linked to a few fraud warning places. So I decided that I would not risk my credit card details by going through the site that was possibly fraudulent, and I unfortunately did buy this on Amazon. I think it came to approximately 150 Australian dollars, which is really expensive for a humidifier, I know. There's going to be a lot of people going, you spent what on a humidifier? I'm sorry, excuse me. And I get that. I really, really do. But my plants are worth a lot of money. They're like very precious to me. So to me, this is a very good investment because of how convenient it is. And also my wrists are important to me, and so is my health. And I don't want to have long-term damage to my wrists from lifting a heavy tank 3 times a week, like I was doing before. So to me, when my other humidifier started leaking and it broke, I took it back and got a refund. So that was a refund from Kmart of $80 or something. So once I got that refund, and I paid for this one, I justified it to myself that it wasn't actually that expensive because I was only paying the difference between the refund and the new humidifier cost, right? So this got to me quite quickly. It was really easy to set up. You just plug and go pretty much. Didn't come with an Australian plug, but I already had an adapter. So just be warning, if you are importing this from overseas, be prepared that you might need to have an Australian to US power adapter. But otherwise, yeah, I have gone through, like I said, I've gone through quite a few humidifiers. So I've gone through, in Australia, the Kmart one is one of the most popular ones, the big black. A lot of people who live in Australia will know what I'm talking about. It's the same capacity as this, but it's bottom fill only. And the top of it was this weird kind of slope shape. So when you put it in the sink, it tipped. And it was really hard to fill up because you had to hold it up the whole time. and then I had to carry it back and it was slippery and the amount of leaves that got crushed. I also didn't like that it was black. I like that this one's white. So this comes in black and white as another thing. So if you do like a black humidifier, don't worry, this also comes in black. I chose to get it in white because then I can hide it better when I want to. But yeah, so I think that's everything I really wanted to talk about. So, you know, it's got the jet with your humidity, which is really good. It does spit out a lot of humidity. So that's on number 3. And then I'm just going to put it down to number 1 while I keep talking. So it's got the amazing top fill function with this lid here. And you just twist it back on. The remote is super easy to use. I recently went away and left my partner here to look after the plants. And one of the instructions was just turn on the humidifier, set it to 65, and then set it to 10 hours, and then just leave it. And if it beeps it, you fill it up. And it was super easy for them to understand, and I was so happy. So it's a really simple, easy to use humidifier. It's got a great capacity. The top fill's super handy. Yeah, just the only things that kind of bug me is this. You know, why do I need it in Fahrenheit? In fact, why do I need a room temperature? Like, it's a room ambient temperature. It's not even a temperature of the steam. It is the temperature of the room. So I don't know why it needs to be there and why it needs to only be in Fahrenheit. But that was a little thing that bugged me, but whatever. Now I just talk to my friend in America and be like, it's this temperature today. My humidifier told me. And then it's got your humidity reading here. And yeah, the tank lid is a little bit insecure, so just be careful not to spill it all over yourself. And the fact that it only does cold humidity, but you know, that's fine. I really, really like that you only have to clean it every 3 weeks. Yeah. So anyway, thanks for watching. This is my little review of the TBI Pro Humidimaster. I'm going to throw in some B-roll footage at the end here if you kind of enjoy my plants and the humidity, if that's something you want to watch. And yeah, thanks for watching. Enjoy. Keep growing like your plants. Bye for now.